correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome to Me and Steve Talk RPGs, a podcast where me and my friend Steve...
We're playing games this time.
Who remembers what happened last time?
Nope, I wasn't here.
I remember that we brought Terry's new friend back to the ship.
Yes.
His sketchy friend from the enemy that he now is buddies with because he rolled awesomely to convince him to be a buddy. And now he's your barkeep, your cook. Yes, all of that?
Something like that. Yeah, I guess so. He's whatever he wants to be, I suppose.
I don't trust him.
He rolled triumphs. He befriended the shit out of this dude. Like,
He is.
Yeah,
he's officially
that
kitchen
doesn't mean
staff.
he doesn't have a right to not trust him.
that's fair. That character is probably never going to show up again, so you can do whatever you want.
I don't trust that guy that just walked away.
What do other people remember?
I remember that we initially didn't tell the captain that we knew why they were attacking the thing, and that we also discovered a plot that they were planning to attack the, what is it, Achilles?
It's
Antilles.
the Isles of Antilles.
Yeah, the bad people were planning a major assault against the Isles of Antilles, and that their plot had been to kidnap the old cat person who was I'm forgetting the word now. I want to say harbinger, but that's not the right word. But an important person with the happenings of things.
Of the prophet of
the prophet and whatnot. Yes, I can't remember
The Prophet Sycorax? Is that what you're trying to get at, or
No. The cat person was a oracle or
the one that was
like that.
Herald? The one that
Herald,
was
that's the word I was
the one that
looking for.
died.
Yes,
Yeah, was a herald.
and that gave our cat person nice things.
that are now embedded in you, actually.
Well, yes, yeah. And I got the stone absorbed itself into me. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So last session we started after the Karlax Inquisition sundered the Antilles heavy cruiser that was trying to escape with this cat person. One of the Inquisitors sacrificed themselves, overpowering a giant spell that basically rend the heavy cruiser. Each of you did little things to help keep it in the air, though predominantly that was Karlax, who managed to stabilize the lift crystals to give everyone more time. While that was happening, Prang went over to the injured catfolk, was going to try to save them. The catfolk called Prang brother. They seemed very delirious, but thought they were someone they were related to. The catfolk used a ceremonial knife, cut themselves, and then opened a portal that they reached into and pulled out a necklace and basically made Prang promise to protect this. And then while that was going on, Barry, like you guys said, captured and then befriended this person who became his Biffle. And then you guys all managed to basically save a lot of the Antilles crew and escape the ship and different launches and like modified vessels and stuff. You guys all got on a ship, like a little rowboat together, and escaped back to your ship. While doing that, Prang was flying around. Prang put on this necklace and had basically like a fever dream of history and got insights into some of the events that were going on, but failed to roll, so it was really muddled and was very confused.
Yes.
Basically, what you saw was kind of these metaphoric dragons battling in the air, and then suddenly like a bright light, and then things kind of like settled out in a weird way. But you were seeing dark tides kind of spreading out from these orbs that some of the dragons became. I Actually, I can't remember which section you said you remembered. Then you saw the prophet standing against the dark spreading out. She
Yep.
kind of became corrupted, and then
That was the part I remembered.
the prophet was originally trying to do good and fell apart. Cool.
Yep.
So, yeah, so the prophet was originally altruistic, but thought that the ends had to justify the means, so started compromising themselves to keep the darkness at bay. Karlax IDs this crystal as a memory crystal, a very old kind of lost technology, and accidentally sockets it into their chest. At which time they then start regaining a lot of their lost memories because was reactivated-esque at a certain point recent in history and doesn't really know much about their origin or history. But you saw or regained a memory of yourself working on a giant, like the most complex crystal apparatus that you've ever seen before, and you've never really seen anything equivalent since.
Right.
But you don't quite have context or insight to what it was.
Right. I think we had kind of decided he knew it was some sort of, or knew it was some sort of weapon system, but that
Yep.
was about as far as we went with it.
Yeah. Well, and you guys are good role players, so I'm going to give you the player more information, and then you can kind of also decide what your character knows too. So at that point, you guys ended up back at the comet's tail. Oh, sorry, and Barney's best friend had like orders in their back pocket, basically saying how there were plans for them to go after Antilles, but instead the Inquisition usurped them to try to chase down this heavy cruiser. So you guys land back on the comet's tail. You want to talk with the captain, but the prisoner was right there, so you kind of were vague. Then went back and said, hey, actually, bad shit's happening. We have these weird memories. We think that Antilles is at risk. And you guys started to hightail it back to Antilles. Plus, you have like all these like rafts kind of strapped to your ship because you don't have space for all the injured. While you guys were traveling back, Prang scouted out a safe path in front of everything, finding food. You found a rift uprine, a large flying fish that basically bamfs through the celestial realm. So that's like the magical in-between realm. And so the fish are like swimming along, poof, they're gone, and they reappear in the farther ahead. So I was able to harvest a bunch of them to feed people. Barry used the tavern to help and heal all of those there. Groth ensured there was water supply with magic, and Karlax failed but improved the efficiency of the Comic's Tales energy systems. So originally you were trying to speed it up, failed at that, but still made it more efficient to handle everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I would like to try something. We're going to try it a couple times. We're going to see how it goes. If we like it, we're going to keep doing it. If we don't like it, we're not going to bother. But James D'Amato recently released a new thing. It's called the Ultimate RPG Campfire Card Deck. And I really like the concept. And like I said, I like a lot of his other products. So I want to give it a try. Basically, the idea is that it's a bunch of cards that are different categories, and they're meant to help you kind of build out your character and your character's backstory. So as you guys are traveling back to Antilles, it's going to take multiple days to get back safely because you can't fly at speed. You've got all these rafts and injured people kind of strapped everywhere. I think you guys find yourselves eating a meal in the I keep wanting to call it 10 forward, but in the
Galley.
tavern, in the galley. Thank you. And I think you guys are just kind of chatting, and one of you just is like, hey, what about this? So what is the worst mistake you have made in your time adventuring, and how does it impact you today? And to be clear, the other question was, do you see yourself ever being a parent? So I figured I'd go with this one.
Oh, no.
So
I already know what my biggest...
tell us. And I'll
Okay,
give you
Barry.
bonus points if you incorporate other PCs into your story.
Oh, yeah, no. It just... Oh, gosh. If I remember right, my secret, deep, dark secret is...
That you're
part
not
of
telling
that.
anyone else.
That I'm not telling anyone else is, I think, the one of the worst mistakes I've ever done. but you might need to come back to me for a different worst mistake.
Yeah, perfect. Because the goal is to kind of help you guys flesh out your characters. Because the more content, the more history you have, the better you're going to understand how they're going to behave in a situation.
Well,
Yeah, my secret thing is very much in this vein too.
Yeah, so let's make up a different one then. Maybe it's your second failure in adventuring, or maybe it's a funny failure in adventuring instead of the biggest mistake.
I remember one time when Karlax and we were kind of on a shore leave almost, and we ran into an orc, and he had promise of antiquities. And this was when we first started together 6 months, a year ago or so. And we started having some drinks with him, and he was spinning a tale of out in the forest. We needed to venture downward, which obviously is a risky area to begin with. And he promised us that there was something before the Sundering, the Great War. And he was going to lead us there, and ultimately we ended up getting our pockets picked by this guy. So I learned a lot that day that not everyone is to be trusted, especially in back alley bar. And while we didn't find the antiquity that day, we did find a few days later his corpse and got our goods returned to us, along with, what's that bauble you have there, Karlax?
Oh,
You found on him?
just this rather interesting. Well, I think it's a piece of some machine. I'm not entirely sure its function.
I thought you speculated that it had something to do with bringing runes greater power. Crystals.
Oh, yeah, some sort of yes, amplifier crystal circuitry type deal. But it's so hard to tell because many of those machines, at least to my memories, with so many components and the different channels, and while I can kind of suss them out and work with them when they're all there, it's a little bit more daunting when only one piece is present.
Cool, I love it. Are you okay if I give Karlax the cool thing? Because it sounds like you kind of said him. So Karlax, I think you found it's almost like an antique tool.
Okay.
And what do you want it to do?
I mean, I'm envisioning it in some ways as almost like okay, maybe let's say it's some sort of effectively like a runic capacitor pot.
Sounds awesome. So I don't know what a runic capacitor pod is, but whenever you use it to do a check involving one of your systems, you are gonna get a boost die. If you can narratively describe how you're utilizing the runic boost pod.
Okay, so just so you understand what I'm saying, like a pot is like a volume knob or a tone knob on a guitar or a stereo.
Oh, okay.
That's so it's like a dial thingy.
Cool.
I'm going to call that cranking it up to 11.
I am going to say, I don't care. You're the one who has to know how to make it work in the narrative. As long as it sounds cool, you're getting an extra boost die. So just remind me if you're going to utilize that for your goal. Basically, in the system, if you have the right tools for the job, it's the equivalent of having like a boost die for the thing. So I think that you have this really good device that you are able to really gain better insight into runic and crystal systems.
Okay.
Cool. Love it. And you'll probably actually be able to with that, we'll also let you try to figure out the function of more complex systems you probably could do otherwise.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Anybody else have ideas?
I think Kulweg is like gonna sit there and sort of be like, "Wow, that was a super deep story." Most impressive thing I ever did was broke my belt while in combat. See, I had this, I had a vial of some alchemist fire. Wanted to get it off real quick to give it a chuck, and I went to grab it. And as I was grabbing it, I pulled too hard and broke my buckle. My pants completely went down. I threw the belt, everything.
That sounds most embarrassing.
It is hilarious. And usually the story I tell after people tell really downer stories.
I love it. I completely forgot your character's all about potions too, so that just works even better. That is so cool. I feel like your character would have gone out and gotten like a really special belt after something like that happened. So, what belt overall, bandolier?
I think
What?
he switched from a belt to suspenders and a bandolier.
Love it. So I think what we'll do is, and you guys are gonna have to keep track of this stuff because I can't keep track of it for everyone. But there's basically a quick draw mechanic where you don't have to spend a maneuver to pull something out. So I think you basically have quick draw for any potion that's in your bandolier overall getup.
Yeah,
Okay.
tier 1 talent. I actually picked it up.
Quick draw.
Yeah, it's a good, and I think that's a really that fits into the story that you just told.
I will actually go ahead and add that.
Yeah, so actually, if you are go to items, and then I have no one knows this, but I have a little type A personality. Under items, under gear, you're more than welcome
Shocked.
to make an item and then add it to your character sheet. Thanks, Steve. I knew I could rely on you. Just so we're clear, too, you're Steve O because that's Steve Old, because I don't
Okay.
actually know your last name. So I had to do something to differentiate the two Steves when I was making people or users.
Steve-O is a very different person.
Yeah.
Hey, I like Hawaii 5.0, so it was also a little bit of a, not the new one, the original one.
Oh, not the jackass one.
It wasn't. It was. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't the same as the original.
Anybody
Well,
know
no,
how to
Steve
spell the
O
word
was on
bandolier?
Jackass, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Steve-O. There may have, I think, wasn't it Dano on Hawaii 5.0?
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah. I was wondering where you're going with the Hawaii 5.0. I was just letting you run
I'm tired.
with it.
I'm real tired. Okay, 10-hour work day. I volunteered all weekend. My partner had a work thing that I was helping with, so I was there. So I told you guys, I'm in a place. We're gonna buckle up and see where we end up.
I like this ride.
Cool. Who else has got a story for us?
Hey, Barnley. Do you
Yes.
remember that time that I walked in on you having that insult contest and did not comprehend what was going on and nearly beat the crap out of half the crew?
Oh yes, I do remember. I do recall.
You must warn me when you're going to do those things because, frankly, I still don't quite get them.
Oh,
Oh,
that's what was going on down there? I was watching
well-
that up from the crow's nest. I wasn't sure what was happening, and I thought I thought you just went nuts, Karlax.
See, that's why we have the event board now, dear boy.
Oh,
Check the
yes.
event board.
Yes. I'll make a note of things. Just that, I don't understand you humans and your sarcasm, as you call it, and such.
Be
Oh, there was-
careful, because half these people are not humans.
Well,
Human. Kulweg
me-
jumps up on the table. What part of me looks human?
Please tell me your pants are up.
He's like tugging on him. Like
The only problem with the overalls is you have a permanent plumber's crack hanging out.
I bet gnomish plumber's crack's pretty cute though.
Oh, I'm sure. It's to be fair, it's earned honestly because his dad was a dwarf.
Love it. Love it. I love that the ship now has an event board. And this afternoon, there's Pilates on this.
I will not be interrupted during my hot yoga.
There's gotta be like shuffleboard somewhere on the main deck.
you brought in Jackass, I brought in your mama.
I love it. And it was also Barry. So you're like, I walked in on Barry. Pause. It's like, oh, shit. Barry, what are you doing?
What could he have
Insult
possibly
competition,
wanted to
what?
be?
Your mama. Okay. All right. What is a cool thing that can come from this?
The event
So
board.
say what?
Yeah, the event
The
was pretty
event board.
cool.
All right. Love it. So I think what we'll say is, as a group, the ship has an event board but I think you guys can decide certain events that they are doing that will benefit you guys and what you're actively doing. Like maybe they have a craft night and they're able to make costumes, or maybe there is like a party night or something, and you're able to bring people over to the ship because they're basically set up kind of like a mini club or something. So that lets you guys kind of use the crew as accessories and something. Love it. Awesome.
I think we need a night that involves more like free falling or like parachute diving. We need a training night of that because we did very poorly at that in the first session.
I mean, you guys were successful.
Despite ourselves.
Sure.
We didn't fail. There's a difference between being successful and not failing.
Hey, are you guys alive? Did you get all the plot points I wanted you to get? I'm hearing success in my book. I mean, only one of you tried to kill yourselves by shooting yourselves out of a cannon and nowhere near anything.
Why, I took a point in ranged.
Too bad it's gunnery.
That's actually where I originally put it by accident.
Range self.
Range. Just toss yourself.
Otherwise known as coordination. I love it. That's so good.
Well.
All right,
I
Terry, I think you're the
anyway.
last one who hasn't described an awkward situation for themselves.
Right. Let's see.
Prang did give up their kind of boon for this. So if you have something that could throw back their way, if you want, not that you have to.
Prang, do you recall the time I'm terribly sorry, but about this again, that I shot you in the arse? When I was doing the practice range and you had accidentally walked on field and I was not paying attention, I'll admit.
Isn't he
shot
off
you in
the ship
arse.
entirely flying about and you missed that badly?
I do recall that
possibly.
I don't think that the crow's nest is considered in walking across the field. I was sleeping. It's not a pleasant way to wake up.
The ricochet of those arrows is quite devious, isn't it?
Or your aim is just terrible.
That's also acceptable, yes.
Hence why you were training, I suppose.
How are those sturdier pants I bought you as apology?
They're a little, I'm not so light in the pants, shall we say. It's a little more armored in the posterior.
All right. Cool. So a boon that's going to come from this. How about, I know what we'll do. So certain riding pants have extra like cushions and padding in the saddle sore area.
Yeah.
So how about Barry actually bought you like special flying pants?
Yeah, to improve your ability with the.
So take first off, I like more like the imagery that Barry made you really flamboyant riding pants that are going to give you a boost to maneuvering with your bird whose name bat whose name I can't remember.
Her name, I'm trying to remember myself now because I'm drawing a blank.
Jane.
Batsy.
Yep.
Echo.
Nope. Drawing a blank. Hold on, I'll find it. But continue.
You don't need to find it. It was a really weird name that I'm probably never going to remember.
Continue on.
Robin. Cool. All right. Yeah. So you have special riding pants that give you a boost when it involves any kind of flying or maneuvering. All right. So I think we see your group kind of, you guys are like, cheersing drinks. And I think you guys kind of get into a competition and try and like one up each other, exchanging embarrassing stories and stuff. And I think that goes late into the night. And a lot of the rest of the crew kind of like are huddling around you guys and joining in. And there's just this great kind of morale building event that you're pulling off because, there's a lot of people that had their ship blown out from under them and they're still kind of healing and struggling. And I think we kind of have this shot of your ship sailing kind of along a night sky. We see lights full of color just kind of shining out from the galley area. And you just hear like the raucous kind of laughter of just like a fun time of friends. And I think that's going to fade. And we're going to hop ahead. And we are going to see the comet's tail kind of sailing through this brilliantly sunlit area. And in front of you, you see a bunch. I couldn't find a great picture of this, so sorry in advance. This is the best one I could come up with. So in front of you, you see a bunch of floating islands that make up the Isles of Antilles. A lot of them have buildings built down underneath because the valuable trees and crystals grow on top of these properties because they have the lighter floaty wood, and that's what a lot of ships are made out of. And they're all, there's all these ecosystems and people flying between them, waterfalls falling. You can think of the like Avatar scene where they're flying through the area too. Like that's kind of what it is, but bigger. There's basically kind of like little towns on each of these islands, and some of the bigger, more developed ones are more like cities. Those ones tend to have their tops made into shipyards where a lot of the building is happening. And they're all relatively close together. It's not like they're really far apart. It's just that they're separated a little bit by space. But not the biggest of the islands, but definitely the most majestic, which is what you see on Foundry right now, is basically kind of the capital island. Again, all of these are individual little spaces that make up the big nation of Antilles, but this is kind of the hub. This is the trade. This is where the Navy's based, and this is where the monarchy resides. And so you see the scene of the Comet's Tail, a destroyer, a very quick, very agile ship, but it's kind of got this like really jury-rigged rafts kind of tied all around it because it's still carrying way more people than it's really meant to because you have all the survivors with you. And you see the ship come in and it lands in the Navy dock area, and it's swarmed by people coming to help and all of this stuff. But you guys are excused from all of that. There's the logistics that the Navy is handling and recovering their own. And you guys and the captain are able to kind of talk quietly on one side. I don't remember the voice I did for the captain, so we're just going to have to play it by ear. Right. So we have a bit of a problem. We have a piece of paper saying that Antilles is going to be attacked. This isn't a lot of proof, and we're not exactly loved by royalty. So I need you guys to do what you do. See if you can make any friends. See if you can make any connections. As you know, we're not necessarily loved by the Navy, but perhaps we have some supporters in other areas of Antilles who would be willing to champion our information to the royalty or perhaps the Naval College. Because right now, if we go to them with this, they're not going to believe us. They're already doubting the story of what's going on. So while I'm handling the logistics of all of that, see what you guys can do to dig up support for.
Oh, no, of course. But don't we also have the man the note originated from?
The traitor
Yes.
that we've convinced that's probably not going to win over an entire nation's military to just go to war.
Fair enough.
And we're not in the military, so it's not like we can just go to an admiral and be like, hey, let's wage war on this other place. We need to make sure we get a champion, someone that is going to represent us within the politics of Antilles.
So I have an idea here, but it entails maybe a little something. So obviously
maybe
Karlax
a little something, okay?
Karlax is a very techie person, right? So what sort of the best word I can come up with here is like signals intelligence exists within this military structure. So my thought is that perhaps we can find someone in their signals intelligence community that I can connect with on a tech level, and then we pass the information to them, and they can pass it on up the chain as if it's something they picked up somehow. Unfortunately, though, I'm generally not the best at making friends or influencing people, or so I'm told.
Oh, that would be my department then. I'll take care of the talking, and you take care of the information.
Well, my thought perhaps is I can strike up a conversation about the equipment itself and win some favor or something that way. But yes, I'm not the most personable.
Oh, I don't mind being your wingman.
You don't have wings.
It's an expression, dear.
He knows someone that does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what's his name? The orc. Sometimes.
Groth stone speaker. Yeah, he did make his hands feathers.
He certainly had wings.
Well,
Right.
And
so
yeah, go ahead, Ben.
No.
Go for it.
No, it is about you guys. If you make
Okay.
up something, that's way better than what I have. So
And if that doesn't work, maybe we could convince them by other means.
Other means.
Or perhaps, Barnley, you just get someone drunk and slip the note in their pocket.
I mean, or
That's
we
one
could
way to do it, of course. But I appreciate the conversation. The art of the wine and dine is such a lost art. These are nobles.
I say Plan A sounds good though.
right. So where do you guys think you will find? So I'm kind of like imagining like World War II, like spy groups. Like they have their like watering hole that they go to hang out after work, and that's where you guys are going to kind of go to try to meet up and like befriend them.
Anybody know thieves can't?
Wait, what can't thieves do?
So I have a place that we can use, unless you guys have an idea that you want to roll with.
I think Kulweg's really bad at this, but convinces the other ones. I think he's like, I know a place, and he just takes them to like a rusty spoon.
Cool. All right.
Isn't
Maybe
a
I
greasy
don't
spoon?
know a place.
I don't want a rusty spoon.
I feel like Barry's the best one to make a streetwise check, but does anyone else have ranks in streetwise?
No.
But
I got
Um,
four. I got four greens in it.
If I felt like Prang paid
gosh,
any attention to where people hung out, I would definitely let you roll. But I feel like that's not at all your character. Unless
I mean,
you
I
feel
feel like
strongly.
this is Barnley's thing.
Oh, this is definitely Barney's thing.
Okay.
Also, I just realized I didn't know. Oh, whoa, not 20. There we go. Sorry, I'm still figuring out how to manage this.
Foundry.
It's
okay.
yeah.
You don't have to use it if you don't want to. It's just there's a resource as a tool.
Okay.
I think it's simpler, but it looks
It'll be awesome to use once I learn how to use it. But
touche. But anyways, we can just roll your die. So you have 1 rank in Streetwise.
yes, and I have. It is also.
You have 4 in Cunning. Good for you.
Oh yeah.
All right. So what I want you to do is, do you have your character
Oh.
sheet open?
There we go.
Oh, hey, it's going to be an average difficulty apparently, because that's what you rolled.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot. I didn't realize. I didn't realize anything.
No, you're good. It was going to be an average difficulty. I was just giving you shit. All right.
Can't be like that.
So you rolled a failure, but 4 advantages. So I think your failure is you think the rusty spoon is actually where you want to go.
Oh no.
But what are your advantages?
I think that in trying to get to the rusty spoon, the advantages lead us askew to
The place
maybe
we
a more
actually need to be.
so maybe a more desirable place on accident. So we think we're in the rusty spoon, which can cause its own issues.
I feel like Rusty Spoon is the name of the restaurant because I think you're trying to say Greasy Spoon, but Rusty Spoon is the name of the restaurant.
Yep. Yep.
Rusty's spoon.
Rusty spoon.
An old bioroid runs it. Cool. So I think you guys are all probably, you've had time to kind of like wash your uniforms. You're no longer bloodied or anything. So you're in moderate attire. And, some of you probably are more on the adventure side. Barry's probably a bit more on the formal side. So you guys take off into this just bustling metropolis. At the top, we really see the throne, the citadel that is the monarchy seat, and around it is just markets and ship docks, and this is just a giant thriving economy, and there's tons of people, but they're built down underneath. So up here is the market. This is where everything is being made and sold and traded. So you guys are going to be navigating your way through all of this. Unfortunately, Barry thinks they know where they're going, but accidentally you end up where? Eric, where does Barry accidentally lead us to? Or are you actually doing something important?
Nope. I was just looking for the name of my bat.
Sorry. I just called on you randomly and then saw you were doing other stuff, so I felt bad halfway through that.
Right.
So Barry has misled you guys, claiming they know how to get to the desired location. Where or what has Barry led you into?
We've actually been led into the kind of like the like red light district.
Awesome.
And it's mostly populated by orcs and catfolk.
Love it.
Some half and half.
Okay.
All right.
Because there's a lot of interbreeding in this section. So a lot of rugged-looking cats or soft-looking orcs. Depends what you like.
Soft as in fuzzy.
See, I'm getting this weird hybrid image in my head of a cat that looks like one of those muscle-bound pit bulls you see on Facebook.
Yep.
It's one of the
Got
Sphinx cats. It's like hairless. It looks
Oh, no.
And that's the session for tonight because I need to go wash my ears out with soap. Yeah. So you kind of like you're like in a regular part of town, and then you just turn a corner, walk down a street, and suddenly it's just like Circus Soleil. There's all this stuff happening. It's not really like a taboo, and it's not necessarily just all about sex work, but it's just about, all the kind of pleasures. So there's people doing massages. There is, the magical equivalent of like a hookah bar. There's like all these, like anything you can imagine. And it's just people having fun, and it's just people just enjoying themselves. And there's all this diversity of color and people and interactions, and there's just this blend of everything.
Prang just slowly turns to Barry and says, "This seems a bit conspicuous, don't you think?"
Well, it certainly isn't the rusty spoon. But if we're going to find answers, we might find them here. Or find people.
So you guys have been based out of Antilles for a little while. Which one of you has frequented this place?
We know which one. We know exactly which one.
All right, Karlax, tell us what you do regularly at this location.
Yes, of course. The robot.
Yes.
You're
That's
fully
why-
functional.
That is why. Star Trek reference. Love it. Yeah. So what does Karlax regularly come down to this? And this is a great moment for you to humanize yourself a little bit accidentally, or build on your I'm trying to learn how to be more human.
So I think there's some place down here that does like these, we'll call it mineral oil massages.
Ooh,
that
yeah.
Karlax finds very, very refreshing.
And what is like a human mannerism that Karlax has picked up from like all this like life happening around this area that might be like a little not socially accepted, but because it's done commonly in this area, they think it is normal to do. And this could be hugging. This could be like a certain phrase or a way of greeting. It doesn't necessarily have to be all sexual. It could also be drugs. It could just be, meditative booths or something.
Okay. So on this, I'm feeling like he has taken a liking to the phrase of getting all slathered up.
Love it. Love it.
A phrase I have heard about my dishes. Some of the food is like, oh, it's all slathered up. Yes,
So-
yes, it is. Slathered in sauce. Of course, Karlax.
So I think in this area there's a regular activity that's called getting slathered or slathering up. And I think it is a specific drink that you actually like dip and like kind of rub on you, and then you drink it and it makes you do crazy stuff. We can decide what it is later, but I think it's actually like a lot of people like can do it. It's not like addictive, but it's like the giggle juice from the Magic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Like that kind of like just goofy social thing that people do together.
Okay, and can I take this a step farther, because Karlax is a bioroid and things affect him differently?
Yes.
It actually for him is like it functions like a skin cream, but it doesn't have the goofy effect on him, the goof-inducing effect.
Got it. But it does affect him in some way. How does it affect him?
It makes him really slippery.
Done.
He's really hard to catch now.
Cool. So yeah, so as you guys kind of enter the area, just because I don't want to like genderize until say what your character likes or doesn't like, I think there's this like burly, gender neutral looking orc cat person just with these like strong hands. And as you're walking by, the individual calls out, Karlax, it's not time for your regular. Are you coming in for a quick working over?
Well,
This is your massage therapist.
You know, I not at the moment. I'm looking for someone, but I might be back in short order. I do so miss getting all slathered up.
I love this so much.
Well, you know, you're one of my best regulars. You know, I'd love to try to help out if I could.
Well, so perhaps you could have any of those folk from the regular Navy come about with the ones with the lightning bolt patches?
Oh, yeah, of course. You know, I don't just do mineral rub downs. We also do some herbals.
I'm looking to talk to one of those fellows who wears that patch, which I have
Well,
just taken the liberty of identifying the radioman.
got it. And when you're saying radio man, what like?
Well, signal. Well, like I said, we're talking about signals intelligence.
Okay, I thought when you said earlier, I can't remember exact phrasing, but I thought you were signals and flares. I thought you were looking for like the MI5 people.
But well, okay, kind of, yes, but specifically the ones who would intercept messages and so forth.
Got it.
That's where
We're
I
going to
was.
be less specific and just say the spooks then.
Okay.
And you can, however you want to interact with them, you can. But like you're going from wanting to find like a narrow group to saying I want to find like the two people in that group doing things, and that's just getting like hard.
Fair.
But I think the lightning bolts definitely are a group of people who specialize in intelligence gathering.
Okay, that works.
Oh, yeah, actually, they all hang out over at the Rusty Spoon.
Turn and look at Barnelby. You know,
Yes, yes.
Well,
I thought that's where you said we were going.
I thought that's where we were going to, but unfortunately I got a little lost.
Well, I thought this seemed quite a familiar track, but I don't recall seeing any place called a Rusty Spoon.
oh, you actually have to keep going. But you do know about the secret basement, right?
I don't think we were informed of the secret basement yet.
I think for your advantages, Barney actually knows the code to get into the speakeasy basement,
That's it.
where all of the signals and flares people tend to hang out. Yes, but I didn't tell you about any of this, of course. But reaches out, and not in like a weird manner, but just like in a friendly kind of like grab like the shoulder type, because this person's as big as you are, which is not common, and like kind of that friendly gesture, not like in a like romantic kind of like, but just like a solid like, yeah, you're my buddy, I got you type move. Yeah, they got a whole thing underneath. It's crazy down there. Those guys really know how to go at it.
Very cool. I'll see if I can pick up maybe some information on the new technical stuff from them.
And you just see the person's eyes kind of glaze. Yes, I know how much you like that technical stuff. Anyways, you want to go down there, make a left, and if you don't know the secret code to get in, unfortunately, they're very exclusive.
I've got that covered, dear. Thank you so very much.
Of course. Anyways, I believe it's next week that we're scheduled for. I look forward to seeing you then, my friend.
Oh, of course. Wouldn't miss it.
Perfect.
Love a good slathering.
And you just kind of see this there's like this internal conflict of this individual because they're so used to being misutilized in these conversations, but like really does value your friendship. So tries not to laugh. Yes, of course. Everyone enjoys a good slathering up.
I just love the fact that I've broken Terry.
Wow, dude, your snorts are now forever on a podcast. So while this is all going on, Kulweg, what are you just chilling? What are you up to?
Kulweg has struck up a conversation with one of the, I'll say, like, workers here. It's like,
Cool.
what about a whole body massage? He's just like, how much does that cost?
It's half price for you.
I was gonna say that.
All right, fine. Eric, you're doing this. You're reading my mind already. Eric, you are now this person.
Oh, well, for you, dear, it's half price.
And what is that in real money?
What do you got on you, dearie?
I have 2 pennies and a button.
I don't think that'll be quite enough. Do you have anything else we take trade?
Yeah, and he like points to the rest of the party. He's like, you see
You're
the
trading
big
them?
robot?
Whoa!
I'll trade the services of them for something you would like.
You'll trade their services for something I will like. Well, I like that one over there. And he points to Karlax.
Give me 2 minutes. And I think after disappearing, he comes back right as the like conversation's wrapping up with Karlax, and it's like, "Hey, I need a favor."
Yes.
I may have volunteered you for some work.
What needs fixing?
Well, and he like, you see that person over there?
It's like a 65-year-old female human.
What
They're the
can she send
one
to
that
get to work?
needs the assistance.
Do you know what manner of assistance they need?
No, I do not.
Well, I suppose.
Okay. Well, just play along with whatever I say.
You aren't going to do that thing that Barnelby did to me once, are you?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, I swear. I didn't know. I didn't know they were going to want that. Of all things, that was off the table. If they had made their if they'd made it known, I would never have put you in that situation. I'm so sorry.
No. But I could really use a massage.
Well, that's where you need to talk to, and I point at the large orc person. Dira here, it does amazing work.
I
Your Karlax's masseuse is just called Stronk.
Strong?
Strong.
Okay.
Their colloquial name is Stronk. The nickname.
Strong here
Got it.
does amazing massages. You
Hi,
should have just
Strong.
asked.
How much does a massage cost?
Well, it sets me back, I believe, about 10 crowns.
So
Although, given your stature, it might not be as much, not as much, well, you don't have the surface area that others do.
5 crowns. Karlax, can I borrow 5 crowns?
I can lend you
well,
the 5
I don't
crowns.
think I filled out that part of my character sheet.
Oh, I have filled that. I have filled that part out. I have like 80 silver on me.
I am not going to be paying that much attention to money.
Oh.
It seems that you are something of an alchemist. Is that correct?
Can be.
For me? You could be.
You.
Well, I'm sure we might be able to work out a trade then, because I'm always in the need for magical potions. People, there's masseuses a dozen around here. We always need something that sets us apart.
Strunk, don't you be stealing my customers.
Oh shit! You guys talked to Agatha already? I mean, it's got to be a really good potion, because Agatha's kind of she's the mean one on the street.
Okay. So he sort of whips around and gets into his potion making kit and is like, has the intent of making something that is the equivalent of like a low level icy hot.
Like,
It's just mostly hot.
it's
But
like
it's-
Tiger Bomb.
It's not.
But
Go ahead.
it's magical, so it does some
Correct.
magical shit. So why don't you go ahead and make since you say you're doing a simple one, we'll just say an easy, so 2 purple alchemy check, and based off of that, we'll kind of see what you come up with.
All right. There we go. Give me 2 seconds.
You're good.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi.
Sorry.
You're
Look,
good.
Mississippi's a lot closer to you than it is to us.
You don't want Strunk. He's very rough. Look who he works on normally. My fingers work magic.
And you said
She's one of the Golden Girls.
The way my knuckles crack is great ASMR as well as you're doing it too.
easy. So
God.
2 purple, 1 purple, 2 purple.
2 purple. All right. So you are able, you have this little traveling kind of kit, and you're just throwing stuff in there almost kind of at random, and you end up with this reddish colored liquid. It's cloudy and murky. It's a little bit oily. There's this, it almost tastes like was it a permethicor? What is that smell of rain?
Oh yeah.
So it almost tastes like that smell, and you've put it in this ornate looking glass bottle, and there's this old sticker that you've kind of almost scraped across, and it says money back guaranteed, that you've tried to kind of scrape off the bottle, and you have managed to put together a pretty good massage oil. However, it does some random magical shit. Who's got a fun idea for what that random magical thing is? I have ideas if no one else does.
I do, but I don't want to hog the spotlight. I've given a lot of ideas.
I feel like maybe for an hour, it makes one leg an inch longer than the other.
Okay. Okay, that's a fun idea. What do other people have?
Oh, it removes all hair it comes in contact with. Not permanently. Just it's like nair,
How about we make it
2
more
hours.
magical, and it makes everyone grow feathers everywhere it touches? Eric,
How
what do
about
you got?
this? How about
Steve?
to take that feather idea and just sort of expand off of it, add to what Terry said. Okay. So it makes the hair follicles explode into feathers that then fall off.
Yeah, so I think the people just are molting for but as you molt, it's almost like an exfoliation experience. So you
Yes.
come away feeling all clean and perfect.
It's like you climbed in a bath with Alka-Seltzer.
Yeah, it's pleasant. It's not horrifying like it sounds.
Unfortunately, it smells like day old coffee, though.
That sounds pretty cool. Eric, did you have anything you might want to add to that or modify in any way?
Just the smell.
Thanks.
Just the
Thanks.
olfactory.
It really just needed to bring it to
experience.
life. Now it's just really in the back of your nostrils, back of your tongue.
You can
The
almost
coffee
taste
you
it.
forgot about in the microwave.
Do you get like a free pillow, like of all your maltings, just all the down every time? Free pillow with every massage.
No, because when it ends, they turn back to hair follicles.
Oh no.
All right. So we're going to be paused for like an hour while Kulweg is getting this massage. So what are other people doing while Kulweg is getting beat up by this orc cat person?
Prangalar is going to actually do what he does and take a look around this area to see if there's any of these lightning bolt guys in this area. Guys or gals.
I think you see a lot of you see some of them. There's not a lot, but they're all kind of making their way in the direction that you were instructed the Rusty Spoon was in.
All right, I'm going to try to like tail them.
Okay. It's not that hard. It's very busy. Well, what the heck? Let's make you make a roll to see if you do a good job of it or not. So I would say that this could be skullduggery or this would be stealth.
I'm going to go with skullduggery.
You're welcome.
Gesundheit.
What's the difficulty on that?
We'll say it's an average difficulty. Mostly this is more like, can you keep them in view and not lose them in the crowd because there's not a lot like to differentiate them.
All right. Let's see how I do.
All right. You get distracted by a shop that has some really cool stuff in its windows. What is this shop selling?
So this shop is selling. It's actually like they look like they're antiquities, but they're chocolates.
Oh, cool. Love that.
So the smell just distracts me and pulls me right in, almost like, you know, that hand in the cartoons. So it's a sweet shop. So I'm going to go in and there's like one of them is Pieces of the Prophecy is what it's called. Like one of the sweets is called Pieces of the Prophecy.
Cool. Now, Harry Potter it for me. What's like a fun, unique, magical thing that when you eat this chocolate that happens?
So you hear in your head kind of like a chorus of like almost like a heavenly host type of chorus, like angels, like a angelic. Ah!
Love it.
And your mouth lights up like white.
Yeah, your mouth glows, so it's I think like the patterns and colors change. Yeah, awesome.
So I come out a little while later with a bag of those.
100%. Cool. While that's happening, Barney, what are you doing?
I think that I am. Let's see.
All right, you took too long. Barney is slathering it up.
I'm slathering it up. Oh man, I'm getting silly.
I think you found like the most ruckus, like goofy, playful, like if you ever driven by like a frat house that's just like all like not in like a like creepy like partying just destroying stuff way, but like a fun good music, like everyone just happy having a great time. I think you're like walking by like these are my people, and you go in and you find yourself in a competition of slathering it up.
Oh boy.
Tell me how this is playing out.
Let's see. I think that it's not how much you can get slathered, but what you can do
while slathered. Love it. All right. Do you guys want to role play this? All right. Then everyone else, you guys are going to be random people at this party that are competing against Barry. Barney. What is your name?
Yeah, Barney or Barnelby, whichever works.
Why are you wearing a purple outfit, bro? Come on now. Cool. All right, so I think we kind of do like this camera kind of like like does that like rotate, settles on this, and there's lights and music and like people hanging out outside, and it's just like everyone is clearly having a good time. And the camera kind of like snaps into this table, and there's this like intense, like people are standing around you. There's clearly like sides and opinions, and at each side of the table, there's 4 competitors that are engaged in this slathering it up competition. On one side, we have our Barney, the only gnome at the table, sitting there with their drink in front of them. This competition is probably like 2/3 of the way through. Across the table is young Steve, who is battling across the table from Barney.
I imagine it is a trying to think. I think it's probably just like this big super buff orc
Love it.
dude.
Mhm.
And he's just like bodybuilder status.
Love
Excellent.
it. Nice, really kind of like majestic tusks that almost have like filigrees like carved into them. And
Oh no, he definitely has them like gold inlaid.
yeah, they're like pieces of art almost. And then actually instead of has feathers kind of running along the back of their head and coming down their shoulders. And they don't wear a top, but they have this kind of like big belt proclaiming them the champion of Slather. Cool. So sitting to their left, old Steve. Who do we see? Anything but an orc or a gnome or a cat person.
Well, see, I'm thinking we have a very kind of slender, almost general neutral looking elf.
Love it.
Very well dressed, but
Love
obviously
it.
very lithe.
Yeah. Almost nerdy looking, but like really like unassuming,
Yes.
maybe, delicate. Love it. So the camera kind of like swung over to this. We see them just kind of doing, I feel like they're smoking something. Like they have this like very delicate, kind of like long, weird looking pipe.
like the Cruella de Vil cigarette holder.
Yeah,
type
like the
thing.
long,
I was thinking
extension.
I was thinking a Gandalf pipe, but Cruella de Vil, and there's like rainbow colored like sparkles pop out of it. It's not actually smoke that comes out, and exhales a gust of this smoke onto the table, and then the camera follows it, snaps over. Eric, what do we have sitting here?
There is a female dwarf
Love it.
who is middle-aged,
Love it.
but she looks like she spends a lot of time in the city.
Cool.
So she's a little bit more well-dressed than your typical working dwarf. And she looks a little bit out of her element. This is like a kind of like a field trip for her into this area.
Mm.
Cool.
And this is her first foray into this.
Cool. Awesome. So I think that there's like drumming on the tables all around you as the next round of slathering it up is about to start, and suddenly, boom! What is slathering it up? Make up this game. Go.
I think it's pretty freeform. Whatever creative thing you can do, be it poetry, be it singing, be it dancing,
Yeah, love
be
it.
it making magical constructs,
Love
anything
it.
creative and whimsy and silly is applicable.
Love it. So I think what happens is you have to you slam your cup on the table. You have to dip your hand and you rub it down your face, and this alcohol like basically like stains and like changes and does something magical on the skin. We'll decide what it is later. You have to take a shot and then you have to do your thing. And so like
Exactly.
each round, like this thing it's like doing something weird, and you can tell how many rounds they've done because it's like stacking up and building up on their faces.
Yeah.
Boom. So everyone does it. Boom. All right. Young Steve, what is your bodybuilder going to do as their like talent show action?
I really don't know. I don't have a good idea.
Cool. So I think that they're going to be a primalist. So they do this. Boom. One of their tusks like grows into this giant like tentacle that kind of whips around. And then they cause like a little fruit tree to grow in their hand. 2 apples pop out, drop on the table, roll to you guys, and then the tree disappears. And the orc kind of turns and looks at the elf and grunts, you. Your turn.
So the elf very calmly stands up and proceeds to do this rather pretzelish yoga pose where they literally stand on their own head.
Huh. That looks like it's going to be hard to take your shot doing that.
Not at all. They just kind of roll to one side.
Perfect.
It's just like the foot comes out like crick, and
I think their hair starts like levitating up around their head a little bit, almost like static electricity is in it. Cool. You got to choose one of the people who haven't gone yet. Go.
Oh, let's go for Eric.
Perfect.
So this dwarf, she takes one of the apples that has come out of the orc's tree,
Sure.
and she bites it and then takes a shot and wipes her face. As she does that, she reaches into her mouth, and a bolt of silk starts coming out that is the color of red.
Oh, I love when they do this one. Oh, cool. Can you do rainbow colored silk?
And she starts pulling it out, and it starts coming out different colors, and she starts to swing it around over her head.
The orc is going crazy. He's like,
it's a beautiful ribbon dance happening right before our eyes.
This is why slathering it up is so good. And he's like drumming on the table. Your turn, gnome.
I've got you all here.
I think the elf is like picking up the silks.
Right. Let me sing you a little ditty that I came upon this fine morning. It might remind you of something. Let me be free. Let me slather it up. Let me feel it. Let me boil up and explode with the feelings I feel. And nothing but slathering.
And the orc is like drumming on the table, like perfectly in sync with you. It's like you guys are just hardcore jamming.
Yep.
And then he picks up his mug and like hardcore like cheers you, downs it. Oh, right, my turn. Okay, all right, I got this. I'm slathering it. And he does the slather, dips his finger in the drink, smears it on his face, and at this point he's like, I said I got this, and then he just falls over to the side, and he is out of the game. And I really should have come up with a magical stuff that happens when you drink, because then this would be even funnier. But anyways, so I think he's like on the ground. He's like, oh, why are there sheep running over me? Like, and he's clearly out of it, just watching sheep jump over him. Cool. So he's out. So the elf is up next. What is the elf doing?
So I think the elf takes the does their slather thing, and then takes the multicolored silks from the dwarf and ties them around their head as this headband, and then does this kind of spinning pirouette dance move kind of thing, and then their hair kind of goes all straight out and does kind of like a disco ball light effect on the walls.
Yes, love it. So cool. All right. And then the crowd's like, oh, what? No! How are you gonna beat that? Dwarf lady.
So she does her slather where she takes, a big swig of it and slowly puts it down the other side of her face. She goes over to the orc and signals to Barnelby to come over and help him. And she starts making like a marionette and kind of lifts the orc up and starts making a marionette dance with the orc. And the orc's kind of flopping around a bit and grabs Barnelby and they start dancing like kind of a waltz type of thing around the floor.
Excellent.
At first, the crowd's like, what? No, and because at first they're like, think you're being disrespectful to a competitor, and then they realize how funny it is, and they're like, no, you didn't.
You're not out of this yet, dear. You're still in this as much as you think you are not.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Perfect. Barney, you slather, you take your shot. I need you to make a dice check for me.
Of course.
Because we need to see.
Actually, wait, let me do the dice check first, yeah.
No, tell me what you want to do, because if it's really cool, it's going to happen no matter what you roll.
Because I wanted to like, because you said that like different effects happen on the face whenever you slather. So unbeknownst to them, I've been like making a specific like art piece on my face with the slathering.
Ooh,
And it's only
Yes.
now starting to come together.
yes, love it. I mostly want something to be magical, and I couldn't come up with a good idea for Slather. So, like, if anyone else comes up with a really fun idea for this drinking game, then that's totally what it's going to be. I love that. I need you to make me a resiliency roll to see if you are passing out drunk yet, because this is a very powerful drink.
Oh Lord, I only have one
Yes.
in brawn.
Yes, you do. So this is going to be a hard check.
How many dice is that?
3 purple.
Oh boy, one green against 3 purple.
Holy shit, you succeeded. You mother freaking succeeded with 2 threat.
Can the threat be that the orc is holding him very tightly?
I mean, I mean, at this point, I'm up for whatever. So we see Barney take a shot, and then they do something on their face, and then suddenly, what do we see on Barney's face?
It is like Picasso-esque, like a cubism kind of
Cool.
just
Cool.
beautiful cubist design.
Awesome. So I think you like hop up, you hop up on the table, and you're suddenly like, doing like the wha-bam, and your face pops out, and it's all like crazy. But unfortunately, even though you're not drunk, you start vomiting, but you're vomiting bubbles. Right? And so you're just like, and you're just constantly like, you're trying to, oh, I can do. Cool. So you are now just kind of constantly spewing bubbles periodically. All right. Because I don't want this to go forever. I think Barney, do you want to win or not? It's up to you.
I think it should be determined by a flip of the coin.
A flip of the coin.
Yeah.
Okay.
The dwarf will end up failing this round because this is only her first time down here and she's a tourist. So she had a little bit of her dwarven constitution, but beyond that, she at this point ends up just she takes her last drink, and all of a sudden her whole body just starts turning into like different colored tattoos. And this is
cool.
This is not something she likes, so she just runs screaming out of the bar.
What? Cool. So I think we find Barney and this elf that's probably like sitting on their hand, like staring at each other across the table. Every now and then Barney's bubble. And I think we're gonna have the final showdown. So Steve, what does the elf do as their like finisher move in this competition?
So I think the elf does the face swipe thing, takes the drink, and then kind of waves their hands and kind of gathers / multiplies all the bubbles that Barnley is vomiting and kind of turns them into this ridiculous costume on Barnley. Like a dunce cap
Yes.
or something like that, or
Yes.
just something, like a late 70s Elton John stage costume.
Yes.
I would definitely rock that.
I think he keeps vomiting, and they kind of keep going up into this top hat, and the top hat keeps getting bigger the more and more bubbles that he throws up. And so next thing you know, he just has this like giant hat of bubbles above him. All right, Barney.
And a beard, an Abe Lincoln beard.
Excellent.
The bubbles start coming down in a beard too. Perfect. I don't know. Can you top that, Barney?
Oh man. Oh, and I can't really use magic though, is the problem.
Why not? Oh, you don't have the skill.
Yeah, I don't have the skill.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I was like, yeah, you can. I didn't say there's any rules, man. You can do whatever you want. It's like, oh, your character literally can't use magic. That doesn't make it a little hard, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do this. I think Barney is gonna like hop up on the table and do some kind of like performance. So I feel like you're gonna try to charm the crowd.
All right.
So I think you're gonna like hop up. You're losing off of like performance. So you got something, Steve?
I'm just saying. I'm thinking it's like a tap dance routine.
Oh,
Yes.
hell yeah.
And then if
Yeah.
you fail,
and-
you slip in the bubbles and
Love it. Love it. And I think you're literally like pulling the hat off and using this like bubble hat that they tried to like mock you with as part of your routine. So
Exactly.
and I think you're doing this in like a charming, goofy way. So let's
no.
make this a charm check.
I sat the hat on the ground and I climb to the top of it and do my dance on it.
Okay. Let's see if you fall through. So this is going to be another hard check, and you can roll your charm against it. Because even though you're doing very much like a dance, oh my goodness gracious.
All
right. 4 successes with 1 threat. So I think you're doing almost like this Irish step gig on top of this hat that you keep vomiting. It keeps getting bigger. And next thing you know, you're like way up in the air. It's this giant finale. And you do your last move, boom, but the hat implodes and you drop down to the table amidst the cheers and the yells of everyone. Clearly the victor of slathering it up. And
oh man, that's amazing.
as Barney emerges, still with a bubble beard, we find them running into Kulweg, who is coming out with this giant, basically like mohawk of feathers that's going down their head. And they have feathers all across their back and their arms, and they're clearly molting, but just the most relaxed they've ever been. Stumbling into a Prague, who's just got this bright white light coming out of their mouth. And you guys make your way down to the Rusty Spoon. It is very much a dive bar. Not a dive bar, but it's like that sketchy dive bar restaurant. Like they have the best breakfast food, and no matter what time of day you go in, there's people at the bar with a pile of cash drinking a beer. And it's like that kind of setting. Like they got the best breakfast food here in the whole city, but you might die by sitting in their booths. And Barney, still with his bubble beard, is able to lead you guys to the back, down the set of stairs, and they knock on the door in just the right way, and it opens up into this underground speakeasy. And your group is hit by this wave of psychedelic colors and smells and smoke and just like everything possible. And you step into the room, and I think that's where we'll end for tonight.
Intro and outro music by the band 12 Noon. You can email us at meandsteverpg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and RPGs. Find us on Facebook at Me and Steve RPG Podcast, on Discord at Me and Steve RPGs, and as always, all of these links are in the show notes. Thank you, and be kind to one another.
How much for the cigar?
Cigar, $20, dog. You gotta go down the street to the store and buy that.